There were more protests and vigils around the country this weekend over the ICE agent who shot and killed Renee Nicole Good. New footage from the agent's cell phone camera was released that has a different vantage point of the events. Take a look.
Get out of the car.
Homeland Security Secretary Noem went on CNN to defend the agent's actions and doubled down on claims that Good was the aggressor. Watch.
Why did you not wait for an investigation before making your comments?
Oh, well, everything that I've said has been proven to be factual.
You said that she was a domestic terrorist. How do you define domestic terrorist?
She weaponized her vehicle to conduct an act of violence against a law enforcement officer and the public. As they are doing that.
How can you assert with certainty that she was trying to hurt the officer as opposed to she was trying to flee the scene?
If you look at what the definition of domestic terrorism is, it completely fits the situation on the ground.
What is the appropriate response for the police officers in this situation?
Every single situation is going to rely on the situation those officers are on.
President Trump pardoned every single one of those people.
And every single one of these investigations comes in the full context of the situation on the ground.
What? I don't know what she just said.
It was a word salad.
Okay. It's just so interesting to me. How can, I don't know, there are a zillion perspectives of this.
Yeah.
And it's like that old joke, do you know? A woman comes home, walks into her bedroom, hears noises happening, walks in, there's her husband having sex with somebody else. And she goes, oh my, what are you doing? I can't believe you're doing this. And he said, what are you talking about? Look at what you're doing. You're having sex with this woman. And he says, who are you gonna believe? Me or your lying eyes?
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
You know what you saw.
Yeah.
You know what you saw. Now, you can keep saying she was aggressively running people up. She wasn't. We know what we saw. So how can people, it's a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway, watch the same footage and see things so differently?
Well, I feel like we're losing our collective humanity, because what I keep going back to is, I've talked about on this show, members of my family have had interactions over the years with law enforcement. I've had people I love who've served time in jail, have turned their lives around. And I keep thinking, thank God when they were in those situations, they dealt with law enfortement who looked to de-escalate, who looked to take the tone down and the temperature down and deal with the law enforcement aspect of whatever was happening. And in this instance, my outstanding question is, if the claim is that she was defying law enforcement, were charges going to be filed against her, and for what? If she'd not been shot 3 times and then her vehicle rammed into something as she crashed. So we looked up, what are the punishments for evading law enforcement or even fleeing police in a motor vehicle? These are serious crimes, but I want to be abundantly clear, the response is not death. It is not being shot 3 times in the face with your dog and your partner next to you. Federal law says that interfering with a federal law officer is a serious crime. Penalties range from a few years in jail or up to 20 years. Yeah. But you get your day in court and you get to live. In Minnesota, fleeing police in a motor vehicle is a felony. The base felony, about 3 years is the baseline. So I would just ask people, remember, this is a human being. We may learn more facts, but this is a human who is no longer here today because a situation that didn't need to escalate did, and the most extreme use of force was used rather than de-escalating.
And protocol wasn't followed. So the law enforcement are not supposed to step in front of a vehicle because it instantly becomes a threat of death, and therefore unlikely shootings are apt to happen, which happened here, and a woman lost her life. But he was also holding a phone up while he was holding his weapon. These are all things that they shouldn't be doing, but it is a reminder, as this is happening in our country, that we have to have peaceful protest, because I think any time you have someone that is obstructing or cutting people off, she does not deserve to be dead, but that is also creating this situation of a tinderbox. And this is why we're seeing more shootings right now, is these legal watchers step back, record everything, get it all down. But the fact that she was cutting off the road also contributed to the heat of this situation. We've got to remain peaceful. You can leave no room for error on this.
I just want to say, I don't know why she was, from my understanding, she had just dropped her kid off.
Well,
and was
the
trying
videos have
to
now
get...
revealed that her partner and her were coming to watch these or slow up the ICE. They want to notify the public the ICE officers are coming. So she meant to park that
and there
way.
were cars. There were cars that were
lots of
going
cars,
around around her car. But I think what you heard from Kristi Noem, frankly, and why she looked so clownish saying it is because it's ultimate hypocrisy. When thousands of insurrectionists show up on January 6th and beat up cops and want to impede the legal transfer of power, they are patriots and they are pardoned by this precedent. When this woman shows up unarmed and is driving away, she deserves to be shot 3 times in the face. I mean, it is just hypocrisy to an inexplicable level. And I'll tell you what gave me great inspiration and gave me great hope this weekend was seeing the thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans who, despite freezing weather, despite all of these acts of intimidation, despite the threats of sending more agents into the streets of our cities, came out and protested peacefully because I think Americans are sick of it. They're sick of the performative, extreme cruelty they are seeing. They are sick of the abuses of power. They are sick of the violations of the Constitution. They're sick that there's no due process. They are sick of seeing people die and dragged through the streets. They are sick of it and they're not going to take it anymore. What I want Americans to do, though, is this anger, this outrage, this indignation that we are all entitled to be feeling right now. There are 295 days to the midterm elections. We gotta channel all of those feelings into the ballot box and we gotta vote them out so that there is oversight.
I agree with that, and I think that there will be oversight, and I think that right now there are people in Congress that are interested in impeaching Kristi Noem, and I think she will be held to account one day. But let me say this about this killing. This was an unlawful killing. It was against DOJ policy to shoot at a vehicle that's leaving the scene. It's against the Supreme Court ruling in 1985, that sort of deadly use of force in shooting at a vehicle. So we all know that it's unlawful, regardless of whether or not you believe she was an agitator, regardless of whether or not you believe she was in the way. The bottom line is the officer's actions were unlawful. That was an unlawful killing. It was illegal. From a legal perspective, that's very black and white for me. What's interesting to me is the way that this administration is saying that they are being transparent when, in fact, there is a shadow investigation going on by the federal government without the state law enforcement being involved. They whisked this officer away out of state without being interviewed by state and local authorities. They denied state and local authorities the ability to review the crime scene. They impounded the car. Why we're seeing so many different vantage points is because the state law enforcement had to ask the public for video so that they can conduct their own independent investigation. In my experience, I have never seen a crime like this or potential crime where law enforcement, federal law enforcement, did not work with local law enforcement. That should be the red flag in terms of the lack of transparency.
There should be a lot of red flags here.
Yes.
There should be a lot of red flags here. In spite of everything, you still have the right to protest. Now, what we've seen is how people normally protest in this country when agitators don't jump in to help. This is what protest looks like. People were protesting all over the country. And people, and I told you this was going to happen, people needed to get to the point where they said, it's not them, it's me. It's all of us.
You see abolish ICE now? When that was a lefty thing before. Everyone's saying abolish ICE. You should never say that. You should never say that. I think people, red states, blue states, these are the United States of America, and people don't want to see murder in the killing in the street.
And I think for a lot of people who believe that there's a legitimate law enforcement role that ICE could and should play, this undermines it. Nobody signed up for this.
No,
nobody said this is what we wanted them to be doing.
Nobody wants this. This is not what you said they were going to be. This is the thing. You said you were going after the bad guys.
Yes.
That's what you said, the violent criminals.
That's
and
right.
what does it turn out? The violent criminals seem to be in the agency. Before folks gather around and say, oh, she's accusing all of the folks at ICE of being criminals. That is not what I'm doing. And just so I'm clear, it feels sometimes that there is no one watching the hen house. Okay? So before you all start blowing it into all kinds of other stuff, just know that it's nuance speaking.
Well, I think you meant the lack of accountability, because you've had 9 shootings by ICE agents against various people. We haven't heard much reporting on it, and no one's been held accountable, and we don't know the status of the investigation. So that does feel like there's a lack of accountability and transparency.
You are very kind, and I appreciate it. So,